Hey, folks, welcome to the Andy Parrish Show, where I'm right, deal with it. You might notice that there's a video of me now because I'm in my video studio, the G2 studio. Hope you enjoy it. It'll be kind of fun to interact with you, but I hope you'll share this. I hope you'll leave a comment, subscribe, and follow me on X, because studies show when you do all of those things, you become 93% more beautiful and 87% more intelligent. 75% of the people actually think you've read a book. It's AI magic. I don't know how it happens. It does, but it's the G2 studio because across the way, I have Charlie and Bailey, two guinea pigs. I hated those things when my daughter got them. Probably because, when I was like 9, 10 years old, I had gerbils growing up, and you were at the mercy of the 16-year-old working at the pet store to determine whether you had a boy and a girl or a boy and a boy. And I vividly remember we bought boy and boy. Then I woke up and there were like 11 of these little hairless things with their eyes shut in a cage, and there was the male, the dad, just chomping away on one. Just, it was awful. It's terrible. That's how you learn about the facts of life. That's how that's how it's done. How it works out. But we're not here to learn about that today. I actually like those guinea pigs now. But you're not here to learn about that today. We're here to talk about sanctuary cities and what sanctuary cities are and what they're not, and how brazen the media has been with trying to basically guilt anybody who's a white citizen who does not want criminal aliens here into being some kind of insensitive racist. So I just want to explain this so that when it comes up, you can actually talk to people about this. And there's two things that tie into this. The new thing that people are doing are these land acknowledgement statements before high school games, before city council meetings, universities. This is the new thing. The new thing is to acknowledge the land that you are on is the sacred ground of so-and-so, known now as Wisconsin. There's a reason why I'm going to play this video for you, and there's a reason why I put captions underneath it. And there are captions that are red, there are captions that are green, and there are captions that are yellow. And each one of those colors identifies an educational achievement level of the words used. So what that means is if it's in red, given the context of the conversation and given the words, you need a master's degree or higher to comprehend it. If it's in green, you need some college or a bachelor's degree. And if it's not green, if it's yellow or white, that means that you need a 10th grade to 12th grade education to understand it. So when we do political ads, folks, everything is purposeful. We test every single word. We run it through software like I did, which is just a Python script. It's kind of neat. But it'll actually spit out what the educational attainment is for your audience. I hope you enjoy this. I'm going to try to make it through. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try to make it through without interrupting.
Land acknowledgement engages all present in an ongoing Indigenous protocol to enact meaningful, reciprocal relationships with ancestors and contemporary tribal nations. As a state university, we have a responsibility to include and support Indigenous communities and sovereign tribes in our work.
We give greetings and thanksgivings to the Potomac River's life sources, to the ancestors, the Doag people annihilated in colonial Virginia's violent campaigns against them that ripped open lands to destruction and brutal enslavement of our African-American kin.
To the Virginia tribes, past, present, and future, who have stewarded the lands: Pamunkey, Potawatomi, Rappahannock, Mattaponi, Upper Mattaponi, Chickahominy, Eastern Chickahominy, Nansemond, Nottoway, and Monacan, and to the Piscataway, who have lived on both sides of the river since time immemorial.
To our relatives, Indigenous Turtle Islanders across North, Central, and South America, who followed the corn.
He's wearing a shirt to cover his man cleavage.
For diaspora to be at home here.
And he probably buys jeans with holes in them.
The diversity and beauty of all people who are together in good conscience and action.
With these words, we commit to mobilizing our intellectual dynamism, inclusive excellence, and diversity. To engage in creating a just, free, and prosperous world.
Okay, let's hold on to just, free, and prosperous world for a minute here, because I don't know. But look, there's so many fun places to start on this, and it blows my mind. So the reason why that they're using words, you can see in there, I think the count was something along the lines of 72% of those you needed a master's level or better. There were 320 words in the entire thing, and 230 of them you needed a master's level. 10th grade through freshman year of college, there were 3 words. 10th grade and below, 87. So green is good, yellow is cautious. So, folks, the reason why is because they know, these intellectuals know, that even as children, we are taught to imitate people, and we are taught to learn from them. And how do we learn the words that we learn? People smarter than us have used them, and then we've simply repeated them and learned what it is, what the word means. That is a way to condition us into thinking that we're kids again and that we need to listen to them because they're super smart. And we have this, we are subject to them. We are subordinate to them because they are a teacher, they are somebody else that we just automatically assume. And because of that, you wouldn't believe the number of Americans that will put themselves in a seat of inferiority and not argue with these people. Well, that's not me. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to oblige them, but of course they won't. First, I want to talk about how the conviction of all of these people and how well they read off that teleprompter. You can really tell a person's conviction if they need a teleprompter. You can go back, watch it again. You can very clearly see, especially the young lady who lists off all the tribal names, and then the dude who's covering his man cleavage and probably buys jeans intentionally with holes in them. You can very clearly see it in their eyes that they're reading. You can even see it from the professor at the end. It's comical. If you have a deep conviction about something, you shouldn't need a prompter to read off. All right? You just shouldn't. Second thing I'm going to ask them is, so how much land have you given back? If you're acknowledging that you're on sacred land and it's somebody else's, it's not that hard. I have 3 kids. Oh, you stole your sister's shoes, give them back. Oh, you took your brother's hockey stick, give it back to him. Right? If you have something that doesn't belong to you, you give it back. In a court of law, if you're holding on to stolen materials, if you're holding on to stolen goods, knowingly or unknowingly, you can be charged with an accomplice to that crime. You certainly can be charged with being in possession of stolen goods if you know that you're in possession of them. They clearly do. I mean, are you following this stupidity? George Mason, who put that out, George Mason University, is a large campus out east. It's an East Coast elitist school. I wonder how much of that land they've taken down. They've torn buildings down because, they'd never make big ones. But I wonder how many buildings they've torn down and restored back to its native state. You're right. 0. The woman speaking at the end, the professor-looking woman, I don't know if she's a professor or not. I wonder if she has found a Native American homeless individual and said, dude, I stole your land. This is your home now. This is where you will sleep at night and be warm. This is it. I highly doubt that she has. Right? So, where's the conviction? There is no conviction, but this ties into white citizens who think that we should have law and order and we should follow law and order and we should enforce the law are very bad people. It ties into sanctuary cities. It ties into what this bishop did to Trump, which we'll play here in a bit, during the church service when she decided to lecture him. These people think that they're better than us, but you need to ask them questions like, well, why don't you just give it back? Here's my other question for these academics, and apparently they must have missed this part of American history, but pre-colonialization, so pre-us coming over, do you think that all the different tribes and factions lived in peace and harmony with one another? The reality is that Native Americans were at war with one another over land and resources long before the white settler ever came. Long before it. If you look at some of these tribes mentioned, and I can mention some others, the Comanche, the Sioux, the Fighting Sioux. I mean, where do you think you get that name from? I can go on and on and on. That is what they did. They warred over land and they warred over people. They enslaved people. They enslaved the tribes that they captured and took their land. So my question for them is twofold. If stealing is always immoral, why are you selectively picking on us? That's number one. And number two that I want you to ask people is, whose land are we going to acknowledge that we're on? The first person that had it, or the tribe that took it from them? What about the tribe that took it back from them, or the tribe that then took it from two more tribes? Which one are we going to acknowledge? It was all stolen from somewhere. Now, keep in mind, we're not doing the Pledge of Allegiance anymore at a lot of this stuff, and the Star Spangled Banner, we're just kneel at or just not pay attention to. But yeah, we're going to use 73% master's level or higher words to guilt people into things. Ask those questions. In fact, now that I have video and got this neat little device over here, I could actually call them and find out. I think I might do that someday. Maybe you'll be lucky to hear that. All right, so sanctuary cities, why this ties in. So sanctuary city, I want to be abundantly clear. Pam Bondi, on her first day as Attorney General under Donald Trump, issued an order to her department to halt all federal grants and all federal Department of Justice, so not all federal money, just Department of Justice money and grants, to sanctuary cities. And people are going, oh, that's so mean. And okay, the Department of Justice enforces our laws. They are the ones charged with finding criminal aliens and detaining them and eventually removing them from the country. Sanctuary cities they help these criminal aliens play hide and seek from the federal government. That's what they do. It's awful. The federal government is not asking them to go out and check IDs and to check status and to check anything. They're not doing that. So do not buy that if you hear that we're not going to do the federal government's job for them. I don't want you doing the federal government's job. That's the federal government's job. It's not a local police job to, every time they see somebody of a different nationality, to say, show me who you are. It's not what we do. That is what ICE is for, Immigration's Custom Enforcement. That is a federal government role. Here's what the federal government is asking, and here's what sanctuary cities do. First of all, there's no legal statute for a sanctuary city, and there's no legal standing for sanctuary city. People think it's the law. It's not the law. There is no law. There is no verbiage to use for it. There is no way to separate yourself from another part of your state or another part of your jurisdiction. But what a sanctuary city is the mayor or the city council will issue a directive, like the president issues an executive order to his departments stating how he wants things to operate. That's all a sanctuary city is. So the mayor or the city council, depending on how their government is set up, issues a directive that says you will not cooperate with federal law enforcement with illegal immigration. Let me tell you why this is so stupid. Go back to, we're not asking them to check status. We're asking them if they have apprehended somebody for committing a crime within their state. Let's say Pete Smith steals a car. Pete's apprehended. The police believe he committed a crime, so they take him to jail while he waits a court hearing to get bail. All of that stuff. Pete gave the police a fake ID. And so the police investigate and they realize Pete has a fake ID because he's not supposed to be here. The federal government is just saying, can you give us a call and let us know? We'll come pick him up. The answer is no. If they determine in sanctuary cities that there is an illegal immigrant, they do not notify federal law enforcement. Now, if federal law enforcement finds out that they've detained somebody, they have to issue what's called a detainer request, where they ask the city to hold that criminal alien who committed a crime in their city or state that they said was serious enough that we as city police officers need to arrest you. They issue what's called a detainer request, where they ask that this individual, once they've received their bail for their state crime or whatever, that they hold that individual for 48 hours so that somebody can come get him. That's it. We're not asking cities, they're not asking cities to bring them to us. They're saying just hold on to them for 48 hours. And they say no, they won't do it. And then the federal government will say, well, when is he going to be released? We're not telling you. So you see the problem here is that they are literally helping people that they have already determined have broken the law at the city level in the sanctuary city. They've already broken the law because they've been arrested. And they don't notify the federal government if they're here illegally. And if the federal government asks them to be held, they say no. Now we have this bishop, Pactorvist. I like to make up words. She's not really a pastor. She's kind of an actor, not that good at it when you see it, but she certainly is an activist who lectures Trump, and I know I'm going to get the same things from people out there. The majority of illegal aliens are just good, hardworking people who pick our lettuce and take out our trash and clean our buildings and clean, do this and pick food. All right, first of all, when you hear the bishop, it's probably the most racist rant you're ever going to hear, ever. But number two, that may be true. There may be a lot of them here peacefully, but ask yourselves these questions, especially of sanctuary cities. The federal government's just simply saying, if you got somebody who's illegal or we ask you to hold them. So I want to ask you, how many people like Maria Fuertes, how many people like her do you need to see before you tell these sanctuary cities that knock it off? If somebody's committed a crime and already proven they've committed a crime, proven they're dangerous, and the federal government wants them to get them. Maria here, 92-year-old Maria, Queens, New York. There was an illegal immigrant who was arrested for abuse and battery to the point where the gentleman he abused had to go to the hospital. He was arrested, taken to court. The federal government issued a detainer request. The city of New York said, we will not cooperate. Dude gets out on no bail, by the way, just his word. Goes out, finds Maria, beats her, and rapes her, and beats her to death. For 92 years, the last image and the last things going through this woman's mind was utter and total fear. Being raped at 92 years old and being strangled. She didn't die right away either. She laid in the cold. She almost froze to death before they got her to the hospital, and then she died at the hospital. I'll tell you this. How many of those do we need to say, you know what? Sanctuary cities are a good thing. One death. That's enough. And I know some of you are going to say, and I've heard it, whoa, that's just so unfortunate. We have Americans that commit crimes too. Yeah, we do have Americans that do this. They are Americans. They are American citizens, and they are protected by the United States Constitution, no matter how heinous their crime is. Criminal aliens aren't. They don't need to be here. They don't. Our justice system needs to remove them. They don't have those same rights. And if somebody is an American and committed that same crime, whether you like it or not, and whether I like it or not, they are entitled to a fair defense, and they are entitled to a constitutional defense until proven guilty. This didn't need to happen. Maria did not need to be strangled, beaten and raped and left in the cold to die at 92 years old. That was her very last thing that she experienced before leaving Earth. Whoa, okay, well, that's just one. Here, I got another one for you. Marlon Ferris. Marlon Ferris was sleeping in her home. Somebody broke in, started beating her with a hammer and choking her while pulling her pants down. This woman survived that portion and called the police. The police came. Her face was disfigured. Her head was all bashed in. She had life-threatening injuries. She was able to tell the police exactly what happened. They raped her. She remembers 3 times being choked to death and being bludgeoned with a hammer multiple times. Later, she died at the hospital. The person who did this to her had been arrested on multiple felony drug charges, multiple aggravated assault charges, was a criminal alien here illegally, and the federal government had requested a detainer on this individual, and the city of, I believe this was Santa Clara, said no multiple times. Enough yet? Maybe. I don't know. Some people don't think it is. I'm just Bambi Larson. Bambi Larson in her home, minding her own business. A criminal alien who had been charged with methamphetamine, arrested multiple times. ICE had issued multiple detainer requests on that individual. The city did not cooperate with that. He gets out of jail, breaks into her home, rapes her, of course, because, it's awful, and it can't get any more awful. Then he starts stabbing her in the neck, but she won't die, with a 7-inch knife. So he starts stabbing her in the chest until she does die. When they arrested this guy, they found a 7-inch blade on him, her phone, her tablet, and then he tried to blame his buddy. Folks, this is not hyperbole when we say that sanctuary cities are dangerous cities. We have dangerous cities. We do. But when you have criminals here that are proving time and time again that they're not going to follow the very basic laws within that state or that city, and they continually get arrested, why are they still here? The federal government does not ask local police to check everybody's ID. The federal government simply says, if you have someone, let us know. Give us 48 hours to come pick them up. There may be times, there are times when they may request local law enforcement to come on an immigration raid with them, and that's up to the city at that point. If the city says no, I'm fine with it. If they say yes, I'm fine with that too. But they may ask local law enforcement to come with them simply because they know the community. They know the ins and outs of who does what and who talks to who. They know a lot more than what ICE knows. But they're not required to. And it doesn't happen as often as you think. Kate Stein, Kate Steinle. This one is a tough one. Kate Steinle was walking with her dad down Pier 14 in San Francisco. 40 caliber round fired out of a gun from a criminal alien who'd been arrested 5 times. Had a detainer request on him. Didn't happen. He swore it was an accident. He actually wasn't convicted of the murder charge. He said he found the 40 caliber in a dumpster and it accidentally went off. Kate Steinle's dad was right with her when it happened. Kate Steinle's dad performed CPR on his daughter. He kept her alive until paramedics came. Paramedics came, they took her to the hospital. She died later. Could you imagine performing life-saving CPR on your daughter who'd been shot? Now, I have performed CPR on an infant before, but not my daughter who's been shot. That's something you never come back from. It's just something that you just don't come back from. And I could go on, folks. I could do this all day. And what's the commonality? What is the commonality that you see here with all of these? They're vulnerable women. That's what we need to point out to these folks. Where are all the feminists at right now? Where are they at? These are all women who have been raped and murdered, with the exception of Kate Steinle. She was not raped, just murdered. By people who should not have been here. By people who these cities had in custody, who the federal government asked them to simply hold on to them for 48 hours so that they could come pick them up. And they said no. Sanctuary cities from here on out. From here on out. I want these city officials charged with accomplices to whatever happens by not turning these criminal aliens over to the federal government. It's that simple. The only job of any jurisdiction, the number one job of any jurisdiction, whether it be your city, your county, your state, your federal government, the number one role is to ensure the safety and well-being of its citizens. Its citizens. Not criminal aliens. See, all government, city level, county level, state level, federal level, it's our government. We selected this government. We allow people to govern on our behalf. We don't do what they tell us to do. They do what we tell them to do. And their job is to listen and to protect us, collectively protect us. When you let people go, when the federal government asks for them, and they've already proven that they're going to commit crimes within your jurisdiction, you are guilty of whatever they do when it comes next. You are. I want to talk real quick about this lady that now decided that President Donald J. Trump was going to be her lecture of the week.
Acknowledgement engages all present in an ongoing.
Nope, we're not going to do this one again,
protocol.
guys. We're doing this one. You ready?
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you.
See, I can't hear her at all. This is just wonderful.
And as you told the nation
this is almost
yesterday,
live,
you have
but not
felt
live.
The providential hand
Let's see if I can figure this
of a loving
portion
God.
out. All right, let me go to...
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are
Here we go.
gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families. Some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops.
Pick our crops.
And clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meatpacking plants.
Farms, meatpacking.
Who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals. They may not be citizens or have the proper documentation. But the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals.
All right, tell that to the four women I just brought up.
And are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, gurdwara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away. And that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution.
All right, I can't handle any more of her. She talks about these people as if they're servants and if they're below her. These are human souls that we're working with and that we're dealing with. But she has said on national television that she wants to exploit her fellow human being with terrible working conditions and certainly not a livable wage so that she can have cheaper lettuce and that she can have her trash taken out. Really? And then she goes on to say that kids are in fear that their parents might be taken away. Because if they're born here, as of now, they're an American citizen. The children are. But we're not the ones, if they get deported, if the parents do, we're not the ones who made that choice. We're enforcing our law. We're a nation of law and order. The parent then has a choice. Do I take my child with me or do I leave the child here? And people are going to say, well, you're ripping apart families like the bishop's trying to do here. I'm sorry, I'm not. Enforcing our laws is not tearing apart families. That's like me saying that if Pete Smith gets a DWI and hits a school bus and kills the kids on board, if we throw him in jail and he's got kids, we're ripping apart his family? He made a choice, and we enforced our law. The same choice was made by criminal aliens, and we will enforce our law. Folks, I want you to know just several things when you're arguing with people over sanctuary cities and all of that. One, tell them what a sanctuary city is, that we're not asking, that the federal government is not asking individuals or individual police forces to go out and be their immigration enforcement. They're simply just saying, hey, if you have somebody, let us know. And if we find out you have somebody, can you just hold on to them? That's it. And they say no. And when you hear people talking about illegal aliens picking our lettuce and, taking our trash out and working night shift and washing our windows and all that, just ask them, are you really that willing to exploit your fellow human being for cheap labor for personal gain? These are not servants, they're humans. I know that it takes forever to become a citizen here. Process is long and arduous. But you know what? Until we have something better, what else do we do? What else can we do? We have to protect our citizenry first. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed what you had here. Leave a comment. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow me on X, because you will become 93% more beautiful and 83% more intelligent, and 75% of the people will actually think you've read a book. I'm Andy Parrish. I'm right. Deal with it.